Welcome, welcome, welcome to a very special .5 session of Philly by Night. It has been a long time coming, friends. Season 2 is almost upon us, and as such, we have a few new faces that we need to meet and introduce to the city. Before we get jumping into our session, a quick word of warning. Billy by Night is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition game set in the city of brotherly love and ensconced in a world of darkness, and as such, we tackle a lot of dark, difficult, and disturbing topics. Here is your blanket trigger warning, content warning. These sessions contain uh, a myriad of topics, uh, primarily body horror, mutilation, manipulation, gaslighting, use and abuse of disciplines, raised voices, the possibility of violence leading up to and including final death. My own personal favorite, mentions and methods of torture. For your safety and comfort, as well as our listeners at home, we have our stoplight emoji system. We've got the green thumbs up, I'm doing okay. We've got the yellow fist, I'd like to pause. Maybe I have some clarifying questions I need to ask. Maybe I just need a breather. We've got the red thumbs down, I need to stop. We've got the blue hand. No matter how many tears you see, no matter how many whimpers you hear, I'm fine. My character is the one that's going through it. At any time, you can use these cards as needed to indicate to your storytelling team where you are at emotionally, and we can adjust accordingly. Now, that being said, tonight does have a very special trigger warning. And that particular trigger warning is intentional starvation. As we all know, it is the hungry times here in Philadelphia, and the prince is fasting. But allow us to set our scene. Mr. Mallory, it is 9:05 p.m. The sun has fully set behind the horizon, and you have roused from day sleep. You know that you have someone that you should be meeting with this evening. But what are the first things that you would like to do now that you have awakened?
Um, well, I think his first things is setting about the things he needs for the night, which is a few things that are wrapped and set aside to take with him, making sure that he is dressed for the part. Um, we'll see to his own hunger issues, um, but those are easy enough to take care of. And from there, would mostly just be preparing, looking over last minute correspondence and things to know what he's walking into, that sort of.
So you would have received a letter from Morana, kind of giving you the basic gist of the man that you'll be meeting this evening. Uh, Prince Sexton is, well, he's an odd fellow, first and foremost. He's not quite like those other stuffed shirt Ventrus, but he is still a member of his clan. So it is exceedingly important that proper decorum be maintained, of course, but you don't have to pucker quite so tightly as you would when you meet rank and file Ventrue. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that someone would be coming to collect you for this meeting. Oh, Marana,
I will happily come and collect an old friend.
There would be a knock on your door, and on the other side, a friendly face. And it is here where I will leave the team to you.
Yes, it will take Luke a moment to reach the front door of the store. But he will gladly open it and welcome Rana in. The door would close behind with a number of locks. Ah, yes.
Good evening, Luke. It's been a long time.
It has been too long.
Indeed. Got yourself a nice little shop here. Made yourself at home.
It's coming along. There's still some things to move in and to sort, but the basics are here.
So, allow me to be a little bit distracted for a moment. Is there a particular brand of or a particular subject matter your bookstore is covering, or is it varied?
Not a bookstore, antique store. So it's full of all kinds of odds and ends, and
That's right.
The general thing is everything in there looks like it could tell a story.
So she'll change her question to run into any odd or rare books in your findings.
Rare, yes. I actually have something. And he will
Oh.
step away and retrieve one of the previously prepared small parcels to hand to Marana.
Oh, you didn't have to.
And he will hand you a book. The book is a book of Arabic calligraphy used as graffiti, as a kind of mix of calligraphy and also street art and everything like that.
Memory is as sharp as ever.
Well, some of them did remind me of some of the things you left during our training.
Yes, well, miracle that anyone can read them, but...
Which is sad. They were very creative in the word choice, at least. Anything I should know before we meet the prince?
She'll kind of she's giving you a once-over, but you can tell it's very much is what she is seeing in order sort of once-over, not a different sort of once-over.
You know what? Go ahead and give me a resolve and insight, please.
I'd love to. Fun. You know, why not? We're doing this on purpose. Amazing.
You'll love to see it. Luke is as put together as he could possibly be. And certainly there is nothing out of place that would trigger the prince's ire. He seems to have heeded your careful caution. But please continue.
She'll give a nod of approval. Yes, I think he'll do quite well. He won't eat you on sight, at least, so as long as you're careful with your words, which I know you're a man of speech as well as a man of the sword, so...
I hope not. We were invited. It would be strikingly rude to eat someone you invited to your house, but we'll strive to not encourage that behavior.
I would heartily encourage that, yes. Prince Sexton is an interesting man. Probably one of the most fascinating venture I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
Different than your previous employer?
Oh, night and day.
That's good to know. Stories I hear of that one's reign are not pleasant.
Let's just say, even though, you, you're aware of my particular incentives for being in any particular place, uh, sometimes there are even experiences money is not worth getting away.
We all have our price, I guess, and then there's some things that cost too much.
True. Yeah, wise as always. So, how was Savannah?
It was good. Um, it's a interesting city. We'll have to make it back there someday.
I trust the moving process went well. No disruptions untoward.
Oh, the idea of moving this much means it's moved in multiple places. So we're still waiting for everything to settle, and I am sure something shifted along the way because the collection has a bit of a mind of its own. Hopefully, it all made it.
Hmm. Well, if you want to go digging through the weeds, will give me a chance to vary up my activities. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I am sure the city has many things to hold my interest. So
Indeed, and we have a couple tonight. Not just the prince, but you will get to meet the individual I wrote to you about. One
oh,
Sifra.
very interesting. I was wondering if I might.
Yes.
Afraid
Since
I
you
did not
fall
prepare a
into,
gift for them. I'll have to correct
I'm
that.
sure. Yes, I'm sure something will come to you fairly easily. They are very unique, and as such, they are um, emissary of the unique, as might put it. So
Oh,
that is
interesting.
why they. That is why they will be present tonight. But I think perhaps we could get moving in that direction. We are headed to the art museum. We will meet Sifra first, and then we will introduce you to our wonderful and magnanimous prince.
Oh, okay. And then with that, Luke will grab his cane and then another larger package.
To prepare something for the prince.
Oh, yes. Give a host gift, of course.
Ah, learn so well. Come on.
The ride from your current location to the art museum is surprisingly uneventful. It is a quiet night in Philadelphia as the city seems to be recovering slowly but surely from the war that had ravaged its streets not 2 months ago. There is a reassuring hum that rises from the streets. Life, after a fashion, is finally returning. Luke, can you go ahead and give me a wits and insight, please?
Not the best, but
Not the best, but enough to get something. While you can't quite put your finger on it, this city is alive with stories. Tales tumbling from every streetlight, from every hastily scrawled bit of graffiti on the corner stores to the uh, multiple different street art installations that dot the sidewalks. You pull up outside of the Philadelphia Art Museum and are directed by an individual to a parking garage. As the vehicle glides into the parking space, there is a tall, waifish figure standing by the entry door, seemingly shuffling something in her hands. It looks like it might be cards or perhaps paper of some kind. Marana, you would recognize her as Miss Sifrashi. And again, I turn the scene over to you.
Well, there she is. Let's go get you properly introduced.
Of course.
She may be as unique as you are, maybe more so. I have to get a feeling about you two. It'll be an interesting time, I think.
From what you said, it should be. So,
Make their way over, and Anna kind of just ever so slightly tilts her head as she sees the index cards in Sifra's hands and goes, "Is she?"
Hi. Yeah. Uh, she's she's just gonna straighten and hold open the door so that we are not having any kind of a conversation in public.
We'll walk in.
And she's gonna fumble with her index cards, not managing to drop any of them, just kind of fumbling.
and Luke will let them lead the way, and he will follow behind.
Um, right, right, right. And she's going to lead to like a foyer, an entrance hall,
Mm.
and then reorder her index cards and just kind of stare down at them. Uh, hello. I mean, good evening. Welcome to the city. I am, and she flips the index card. Sifra she, and I will be your emissary as one of the clanless. And she flips the index card. I'm supposed to warn you that we are open to many faiths in the city of brotherly love, and the faith traditions are varied and all important and allowed, and that Prince Sexton is following one such tradition, which requires religious fasting. At this point, she is going to drop her index cards from fiddling with them so much, and two antennae are just going to pop up out of her blonde hair.
Ah, as you can see why this place intrigued me so, I'm sure.
Quite.
As Marana will actually deign to bend down and actually help Sifra pick up her cards and go, "Sifra, this is my old friend, Luc Mallory. I am pleased you were able to meet us. Hi."
Oh, yeah, yes, yes, ma'am. It's kind of my job.
You're doing a very good job.
I did want to reassure, just in case, your friend is not used to how these kinds of cities are run. Emissary means that I'm supposed to help take your concerns to the the rest of the councils, and not that I'm like in charge of you or anything.
We wouldn't wish that on anyone. I'll be responsible for my own choices. But thank you.
Right. So, the prince is in the guest hall, which is behind these doors over here. Um, I should perhaps warn you both that the seneschal is in there also.
Hmm. I hope the seneschal is well this evening.
Um, has Mr. Mallory been briefed?
He is aware of the stature of the seneschal, yes.
Um, the seneschal is very tall.
And
They
his
are
multiple limbs.
they are unique. Is the way we tend to phrase some of the stranger aspects.
It seems to be a common descriptor. I'm enjoying already this city.
And Sexton is a bit of a collector of unique and special things.
My aunt says that he's got a soft spot for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
That's the more vulgar way of putting it, yes.
That speaks well of him. Known too many
I've been in,
of that clan that couldn't be bothered.
Uh, you
quite
you
true.
should also be aware that La Ranier doesn't really speak so much in as far as most of the rest of us do. They just kind of make clicking sounds.
That is interesting.
As long as
A-
those who need to understand, understand.
and you'll find it very difficult to make eye contact with them. You'll understand that part when you meet them.
Well, then I look forward to it.
I I I, I absolutely recommend brushing off your nicest shiniest manners.
Always.
Luke has even
My
brought a gift for the prince.
oh oh that's good. My
I,
my uncle John, I mean Prince Sexton tends to uh get a little bit shorter of temper when he's hungry.
don't we all? I do apologize for not having a gift for you. I should have, but I did not know I would be meeting you tonight.
Seifer's just gonna kind of tilt her head to one side. Why would you have a gift for me?
You're playing part of the host.
Oh, and
All
no, not really so much. I think more like middleman.
middlemen get their cut as well.
I think perhaps, Seafrey, you may enjoy Luke's shop. It is full of artifacts and oddities and other strange things.
Oh, uh, I suppose if I visited, I would just be adding another strange thing. Huh.
One can never have enough.
Roro would probably like a visit. We would have to pry him away from the library, though.
I'm certain we can be persuasive.
Probably. We could just tell him that there was an accident that requires the cleanup coterie at
Oh,
your shop, and then he'd hasten right over. Hmm.
I'm sure we can make the next delivery sound as such.
I will leave such deceptions to you then, as has never been. Well, you know.
Yeah, it would it would probably be best if it came from Rana, honestly. Huh.
That is true. We have a good working relationship, at least so far. It's not
Plus,
bad
you
for,
can say things that aren't.
It's a handy skill.
let's just say, one of the most well-mannered Putinescas I've ever met.
Oh, good to know.
I think it helps
Are
that
they used?
Prince Sexton apparently took him under his wing a little bit.
Finishing school.
I mean,
Correct.
Uncle John doesn't really have wings.
Okay, fine. You got me. You broke me. Fuck. Oh no.
And at that, there would be a little flutter of absolutely massive dragonfly wings behind Sifra.
You are right. Unique is quite the word, isn't it?
It is. It's doing a lot of work here. Quite work. It's
Rana says you're like me.
Possibly.
Not quite the same, because you're the same kind as Rana, and I'm the same kind as Roro.
Uh,
Um,
I, I what I am is a matter of debate among some. I think our old teachers would say that I am a pale shadow of what Marana is, as I was a disgrace. Um, one of those bastards we talked about earlier, I'm sure.
but touched by the fair folk.
That is more true. And at that, he'll pull the sleeve of his sweater up, and you will see from about wrist up to elbow is just scrawls of text slightly under his skin that looks like tattoos, but not quite.
Oh, you don't have wings?
No, I have stories.
so many
Is it
stories.
hard not being able to fly?
Wouldn't know. I've never been able to.
Never?
No, no. On a plane once, but mostly it's trains and boats and cars. My own feet when the opportunity arises.
Bad.
A very bad bicycle once, but other than that,
Oh, I'm trying to learn how to ride one of those. So far, it is not going well.
You tried keeping your wings in so it doesn't catch the draft.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. I'm
Oh,
so used to having them out to help with balance that when I have to keep them in,
maybe it would be helpful to try to balance without them, and then that will make the bicycle easier.
maybe Roro says it's a thing that when you learn how to do it the first time, you'll remember how to do it forever.
That's where the phrase "just like riding a bike" comes from.
Yeah, that's what he said.
English is a remarkable language.
Very slippery. The therapist has been teaching me how to work around it so that I can say things that aren't without saying things that aren't.
A very
I've
unique skill set.
never been good at that, no matter which language we're speaking.
At that point, Murano will basically say, "So you've been working on your Arabic in Arabic."
Is still sloppy. I don't have as much use for it. Opportunity to use it, I guess, is more.
Well, looks like we'll get a chance to work on that, and then we'll go back to English.
I mean, Seafra thinking we're showing off is going to start spouting off in Gaelic.
and, and Luke will respond in kind.
Amazing.
Wonderful. You speak it too?
It's close to home.
Wait till you meet my Da. He will love you.
Yes. Speaking of that, perhaps maybe we should go see if His Grace is ready for us. I wouldn't want to keep him waiting.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. Um, oh, wait one. And she's gonna like duck into the room, kind of peek, and then duck back out and usher you in.
As their usher, Luke will make it very pointed attempt to make sure that his cane is left outside the door. While he carried it this far, he is not going to bring it in with the prince.
Good.
As you enter the hall, you find yourself adrift in a sea of white marble. It stretches some 20 feet to what looks to be a large, ornately carved mahogany throne. Perched atop it with curiously hungry hazel eyes sits the form of Prince Sexton. Even from this distance, his clothes seem tight, restrictive, almost as if they are a collar and leash instead of mere drapings. But then your eye is almost instantly drawn to the figure standing behind the throne. A 7-foot tall, 6-armed individual clad in gleaming black and gold armor. Sprouting from cheekbone up are stalks of what look to be cordyceps fungus, and they emit a soft clicking sound from above the prince. He looks you over, reaches up, and seems to tap the tall individual's closest hand before gently and almost fluidly waving you forward.
We'll move forward.
Yeah, Luke will move forward. He has the larger parcel tucked under his arm as he does so.
Seeing that you are laden with a parcel, the prince actually rises from his throne. You see in his hand he has both a sword and a walking stick. The sword he will hand off to the individual behind the throne, and leaning on the walking stick, he will meet you halfway. Mr. Mallory, I presume.
My prince, this is Luc Mallory. Luke, this is Prince Sexton, and she will rattle off a bunch of your titles.
Some of those titles, just for sake of recording, some of those titles being Lion of the East, Slayer of Tyrants. It is very Game of Thrones-esque series of titles. Unconquered Sun, Dreamer of Dreams, Mithraean Victorious, Faith Ascendant. He offers you a polite but toothy smile. It is so good to see so many new faces come to my city. It gives me hope for our future. He'll gesture to the parcel. Something I can assist you with?
Oh, something for your grace. A bit of a host gift.
Mr. Mallory, you did not have to. I greatly appreciate it, though. And he'll hold out a single hand. As he looks inside of the package. Oh.
Luke.
Mallory, thank you so much for this. For those that will be listening later, this is the Arthurian Tetralogy, the full story of King Arthur.
First editions from 1903 to 1910. First printings, hardcover. Very
He very gingerly and almost reverently tucks them under his arm. Please, come. And
Of
he will
course.
turn and move back. He will completely turn his back and he will walk calmly back to his throne as though he has no care for what may occur behind him. He carefully places the parcel beside the throne before taking his seat again. Tell me, Mr. Mallory, you are no doubt of an age, so I will dispense with the usual quizzings that I would give the elder of the city. But I would, if you would indulge an old man, ask one simple question of you.
Of course.
Why Philadelphia? Why my city?
While he's pondering that, Sephra comes running out of some alcove with cream and honey, salt, and bread. Because at least from her side of things, that is how you are supposed to greet a guest, to give them hospitality rights. And she has no idea if Luke can eat normal food.
He cannot, but he will go through the formalities of it, which is the salt of the tongue, that kind of thing, of accepting that hospitality.
And then Sephra's going to step back, and not wanting the cream and honey to go to waste, she's going to step back and like eat while she watches the proceedings.
Well, I have spent almost all of my unlife, my kindred life, searching for what I am, who I am, what I might be, and that has led me to many places. But the chance to actually find another, when Rana wrote about our emissary here, was enough for me to take interest in your city, and I have been a student of stories, of fable, um, since before I was teaching it. But your city promises that a tyrant overthrown, a king enthroned, a war fought with strange allies, and a home that apparently welcomes the broken and the bastard. All of these are enough to pique my curiosity, and I am nothing if not a curious creature.
I believe there was talk of a prince who was promised by some who still inhabit my city. It's all, and he'll glance over at the parcel beside his throne. It's all very Arthurian, isn't it?
The old stories are good.
Just need some Knights of the Round Table to.
I think that is precisely where you may find a place within my city, Mr. Mallory. After all, a prince needs a sturdy coterie beneath him, ones who can serve the city's best interests. Is that something that may be of interest to you?
Hmm, perhaps. I, I've been told that you are much different than your predecessor in this city,
Yes.
and I have seen what that one's idea of the best interest for this city and the hounds that they put to task. I would ask, what is your idea of what is best for this city before I decide to swear to uphold those ideas?
Of course. You will see momentarily the expression on the prince's face shift. There is a bit of anger at the mention of his predecessor that quickly fades. Clearly, there is some kind of history there, some story that begs to be told. In order to answer that question accurately, Mr. Mallory, I have a question of my own. Are you perhaps familiar with the Book of Nod?
Passing in that I know it exists, and I have heard of bits and pieces, but I've never given it much study.
Well, we'll have to arrange some time for you to spend in the library. We possess two very distinct copies of that particular tome. Many of the fledglings had been instructed in its teachings. It's actually an interesting book, one that, when viewed through a certain lens, teaches us that each clan complements the other, that we all have our place here. While it is true my clan has been labeled the clan of kings, the Bruja, rebels, such and the like, each clan has its own stereotypes, certainly. But More importantly, each clan has its strengths. Strengths that, when fostered, promoted, encouraged, make for a much stronger city and a much safer city. I seek to elevate those that the tower would see cast aside. I would see us all placed at equal footing. There is a hierarchy, of course. There are always those that must lead. But no Ventru is better than any Bruja or Gangrel. No Nosferatu is worse than any Toreador or Tremere. What family you hail from is not important here. Respect the traditions, honor your prince, and you will find that you have a welcoming city. Defy my law, disrespect my court, and you will find your time here short.
Rana's essentially sending like a look at Luke, like, it's your decision, but see what I mean here?
Is a dream, an idea worth fighting for, striving to complete. I could see a place with that. I am not, well, as you said, the origin of our blood is not as important here, and is good since I'm not quite sure where mine is. But if that egalitarian dream is what you are looking for, it is one that I would be more than happy to live under and work towards achieving.
And allow me to offer you hospitality here in my city. Whether you choose to take up with my coterie or not is entirely up to you. But Marana has already spoken rather highly of you, and you seem just the sort we need in this city. So please enjoy my protection and my hospitality.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, is there anything, within reason, of course, that I may be able to do for you to make your time here more fruitful?
You've already offered me a chance to see a library that contains things that I don't have. Um, Appointed an emissary for myself. Can't quite think of anything else that I might need at the moment.
And he'll lean on one of the arms of the throne. Should you need my attention, you may either contact Miss Shi or one of the other members of my court. I'm sure Marana can provide you with a detailed list. We do find ourselves a bit light. The war was costly, after all.
As they are.
But we find ourselves in new nights. Hopefully, these nights will find more peace than bloodshed.
You spoke of a coterie. Um, who, or I guess what, would they entail?
Many of them are compatriots of mine from my days in the war. Those who helped me secure the freedom of this city from the tyrant Burke. A Tremere, Cyrene Leclerc, my personal oracle. A Gangrel, the mad Irishman, Finnegan O'Madra, a dear
That's
friend.
like
I have to send Oh, here's your dog. I need to send him a fruit basket.
There is also Tula Sombra. Interesting sorts. Dante Duval and Lenka Blisk. They were all instrumental in helping me attain the freedom of this city. And as such, they have agreed to stay on as problem solvers for the court.
Well, they sound like an interesting group. I look forward to meeting them.
You will have the chance. I will be assembling everyone shortly. We still have some individuals arriving to the city shortly. After all, I did have to ask favors outside of the city to help bolster our numbers. Unfortunately, many of those who were complicit with the court did not have the same good sense your mentor did. They chose to fight, and chose poorly. Morana, however, a credit to her clan, could see the shifting of the winds, and now she has a place in my city.
Place I am very happy to inhabit. Well, thanks to Mr. Omadra's very colorful language.
Rana, you do remember that duck can't eat, right?
Hmm?
Fruit basket?
Oh, it's not going to be your typical fruit basket. You'll enjoy
Oh, the kind of fruits that go boom.
it. Maybe a few. We'll see.
Please do not encourage the man.
Of course not, Your Grace. I will send him entertaining things, not things that will blow up your city further. I don't think you can afford any more explosions.
It's appreciated.
Of course. Would not exacerbate a situation.
There are another bunch of just sort of insectile sounding clicks. And your emissary tilts her head to one side. Ah, um, so, the seneschal thinks you've been staring and wants to know if you have a question.
Oh, no. As I said, terminally curious. Um, is not every day one finds a city full of such unique individuals.
Yeah, that's kind of a word for us, huh?
Oh, it's a good word. Delightful word. There's others in other languages that might serve better, but unique is good. far kinder than what I've been called in the past, so I will gladly wear the badge of unique.
Yeah, we got half the weirdos in the city in the same room.
Well, I can't wait to meet the other half.
I mean, Uncle John, not tech. I don't know. He acts kind of weird.
See for dear. Remember that piece of advice that I gave you?
And she is just going to break into the most beatific, horribly masked up grin on her face. She remembers the advice. Oh, right. So we should probably let them continue with their business, and I can explain some of the logistics as we leave.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Right.
Yes. Please take your leave as you please. I do have other business to attend to with the Seneschal.
We're
Of course.
still on for our lessons tomorrow night, yes, Your Grace?
I would not miss them for the world.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
This draws a bunch more clicks, which makes Sifra do a quick curtsy and then back out quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Let's go along, Luke.
Of course. Your Grace?
And with that, John will allow you your leave. He will collect up the parcel beside his throne. And as you exit, you will hear the soft strains of his voice overlap with the insectile clicks from the seneschal.
Um, right, logistics. I guess in other cities, hunting is split apart by like clan territories. In Philadelphia, it's not, for a variety of reasons, but particularly because jockeying for territory was part of the downfall of some of the cities that Uncle John has been in, um, previously.
Quite understandable.
So, essentially, just you're supposed to vary your hunting. Um, and this is probably a very personal question. Um, the 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 warm ones, the breathing ones, you don't tolerate them well, right?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay. Do you know how to feed yourself without the warm ones?
Yes, I've been doing it for a long time.
Okay. When I first got here, I didn't know how to do that. So,
Oh, it was a learning experience.
um, do you need a list of the cemeteries?
Oh no. Feed in a different way.
Oh, okay. I guess that's good. It means less chance of uh accidentally running into each other when we don't want to.
Of course.
You should also know that uh the Keeper of Elysium has ways of um creating the type of thing that we need.
Is good to know. Um,
Um, so if there ever is like a huge emergency, you could do worse than seeking out Mrs. Sexton.
I will. I do plan on trying to meet all of the members of court at some point. We'll make sure to keep that in mind.
And Rana, um, maybe you shouldn't push Uncle John so hard at the lessons until after the fast is over.
Well, it's the best time. Builds character.
I think I
Besides-
might still be recovering from some of the character I built.
You, well, see, there's that. But also, La Ranier kind of threatened to stab him with all
Uh,
6 of her arms, their arms.
So you're suggesting I should not anger the seneschal by pushing him up too unduly.
Yeah, I mean, she'd probably threaten Uncle John, first, but,
Yes, he was the one who insisted that I not spare the broad, as it were.
So,
He was very driven.
as a somewhat
Yeah.
direct question, the seneschal, are they one of ours, or are they something else?
they're, in as far as I understand your question, they're closer to, like, normal ones, and not,
Oh,
like you or me.
oh, well, there. I'm sure there's a story there.
Yeah. If you listen to the rumors around the city, it you'd probably be able to catch some of it.
Well, I will have to keep my ears open for that then.
I'd be careful about some of the stuff that you hear, particularly from Ms. Dillard. You
That is.
The harpy.
you probably want to take it with a giant grain of salt, like one of those salt lamps size grain.
She does not have our issue with the untrue then.
No.
No. He is every inch a stick upper you can imagine.
Interesting.
My dad says that runs in their family, though.
He would be what I would call a more typical member than true. But still within tolerances.
She's loud.
With the most annoying Midwestern accent.
Can't hold that against them.
You probably will have quite a lot more to hold against them before, their time in the city is over with. Huh. Anyway, we should probably uh do the getting while the getting is good, and also while the seneschal and the prince are having their discussion.
Of course. Luke will make sure
So
to
you
pick up his
don't
cane on the way out.
you don't eat food?
No,
So that's not something that's common to all of us?
it might be. I mean, Can't tell which one of us might be the more odd in this. I can't actually say I've met many of us.
You're the first one that I've ever met.
I have chased stories and rumors, but how many of those are us and how many of them are just the normal weirdness that comes with kindred life, or perhaps some of the actual fair folk? I don't know. But you are the
Oh, we
first
have lots
I've
of
met.
fair folk. We have lots of fair folk around. Well, mostly they were in the suburbs. But they might come, um, along the outskirts.
I would imagine this city is itchy for me, and they are much more susceptible to it.
There's, there's a lot more dead here than there is of the weird,
Yes,
and
well,
there is so much iron.
yes,
Uh, you sh-
I can tell.
you should be careful of a lot of the little poles that are in some of the residential areas. Um, they keep them up for historical reasons or something. They're almost entirely cold iron.
We we will be careful about that. I have had enough uh, of that um, in my day. Don't need any more.
If you stick toward the newer areas of the city, um, the ones that my Uncle John would call gentrified, you'll find a lot less of it. Steel, yes, but a lot less of the old iron.
Well, steel we handle just fine,
Hmm.
but the iron, I will keep that in mind. I could tell somewhat that there is a lot of it that has been here.
And is still here.
Yes, the ground feels well full of it at places. So,
Yes.
but we will get to learn that as we learn the city.
You probably want to stay away from the L. That would be the elevated rail.
That seems entirely too crowded for me to want to mess with.
Um, it's also got a whole lot of ghosty people.
I don't have too many problems with the dead.
In uh Eastern State Penitentiary. It's mostly a museum now, but you probably don't want to spend much time there either. Same reason.
Can see them, interact with them some, but I've never been uh, too bothered by them. But I will keep that in mind.
And I think the last one was just for the Tremere. But you should probably avoid the underground unless someone is leading you around. A lot of the underground tunnels are interconnected, and Q gets very upset if people go down there without permission.
Tunnels do seem interesting, but I will not intrude.
Uh, Make sure to bring Legos and lots of wasabi for the rats. They like the wasabi peas especially.
It seems easily doable, but
They've unionized.
that seems to be the city for it.
Um, if you need to get a hold of me, I uh, am, and she's gonna like scrawl out her telephone number and an office number and an answering service.
And he will pull a business card from from his own person that has the shop logo and then a phone number written on the back.
Oh, this is really nice. You're already really prepared. I should get something like this. I don't know what I'd put on it though. Anyway, you both should have a good night with the rest of it. And um do you like comic books, Mr. Mallory?
I am a fan of myth and legend in all its forms. Comics as the most modern version, yes.
Well, the books that uh His Grace mentioned, we have one regular version, and that has a lot of the original compiler's notes in it. And then we also have a version that is a comic book that most of the fledglings have read.
A comic book version of the Book of Nod.
Uh huh.
It's
Interesting.
quite unique. I have the pleasure of sitting in the library a little.
Well, we'll have to take the opportunity to look that over.
We also have a comic book version of one of my mama's books, which is something about the Dark Mother. I can't remember the full title, but it's a comic book.
Interesting. Your mother?
Not really. I kind of got adopted, sort of. I
Does
guess it's
happen.
more like kidnapped.
Hell, there's definitely historic precedents for stealing changeling children and things like that.
Uh, r- right. So uh, my my mama had a debt to the fair folk that she was paying off at the circus, and I also worked at the circus. But then a pirate came and broke my mama out of the circus, and then I also had to go.
The
And
circus.
now I'm here.
The circus, you say?
Of course, the circus, the Midnight Circus. You have to have heard of it.
Oh, I have spent many years trying to find it.
You're actually looking for it.
Oh, I've been following it for years.
Oh,
One of his life pursuits, I say.
oh.
I've been looking for what I am and where we come from for almost as long as I have been. And the Midnight Circus seems to be at least a common occurrence in the stories.
I mean, that makes sense. They do tend to have a taste for the unusual, and what are we if not unusual?
And he will say a phrase in Welsh that I can't say.
Hee hee hee.
Uh, no,
Are
we
those
will see.
magic words?
Possibly. I think most words are magic in one way or another, but they are the closest I can get to a better descriptor than unique, as we seem to be overusing that.
What does it mean?
Uh, well, the uniquely broken or the beautifully broken.
Oh,
Could you use that entire word to describe the city from what I've seen?
Like those pots that are repaired with gold?
Kitsuki, yes.
Yeah, somewhat like that, yes. No more. Everyone is their own story, and while stories might be similar, they are different. And I am nothing if not a hoarder of stories. So I look forward to learning more about the people and this city.
Oh, you'll have a great time at the library then. A lot of it is like old journals and such.
I can only think of a few occasions where I have not had a good time at a library.
Plus, you'll get to meet Roro.
Yes, I look forward to this.
He's good.
Rowan is an
Um,
interesting individual to work with.
is it because he is a member of the Hakata family, but acts like a miniature version of my Uncle John?
That does have something to do with it. He's also incredibly competent, which is not something you normally find in a Puttanesca. So,
I don't know. They seemed competent in violence, at least. The ones that I've encountered. Never terribly talkative or anything like that, but
Oh, if you get him started on books, you'll never get him to shut up.
it's good to know.
It's cute.
if that's the case, we should make sure they have that conversation in a darkened room. They may be at it for a few nights.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Rowan could keep talking about that library even in torpor.
As you all make your way back out to the parking lot, Mr. Mallory, Morana, and yes, even you, dear Sifra, please give me a wits and awareness.
God.
Fine.
Do we get heightened senses?
I'll allow it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You may also, if you have sense the unseen or heightened senses, you may add that.
I've got face sight.
Yes. Yes, add that.
Nice.
We treat face sight much in the same sense as sense the unseen. So yes, you will be adding that to your roll.
Cool. Lets me add 3 dice to that roll, which is nice.
Outstanding. Good. That's good.
Good Lord.
Mm.
This
Mm.
this character.
So,
Hold on. I'm futzing with stuff. There we go.
well, you didn't have to, but okay. That was I was about to say you all passed the difficulty. In the distant, in the far corner of the parking garage, in what seems to be an unusually dark corner of the parking garage, all three of you would notice a single set of wide set jade green eyes, just studying you from the darkness. It's a momentary flash, a blink and you miss it moment, but they are unmistakable. There does not seem to be any malice behind them, but more a curiosity.
You're worse than my da. I'm doing my job.
And that was.
Sometimes they watch. They are especially interested lately because Da has been up visiting the summer camp. If I didn't know better, I think he put him up to it. But I know better because he probably doesn't want to incur another debt.
Oh, interesting.
So you're insinuating that they're watching over you.
Well, yes, that's what they're for.
What are they? Forgive my ignorance.
Well, the Banshee are guardians.
Aha.
So it's kind of what they do.
Are they that prevalent everywhere in the city?
No, iron is itchy.
And they usually follow families.
They do.
One of them they're here for.
Oh, the blue emissary seems to think I was one of them once.
And this one was green?
Oh, most of them have the green eyes. It sort of runs in the bloodline, and Sifra indicates her own eyes, which are fairly wide set and deep green.
It's somewhat sad what stories have been twisted into. The originals were kinder.
Rowan said that most people think of them as psychopomps.
Yeah. A part of being a guardian of a family line is you also uh, tend to know when there are passings in that family, and they're well, they mourn loudly, sometimes before the fact.
Oh, you mean the keening?
Yes, is people confuse the fact that their ties to family let them know that something is going to happen with them causing it, and that is where the stories get twisted some. Not that they couldn't, but more, much more likely to do that to someone who threatens the family they protect. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
We'll
it's
go on.
fine. Generally speaking, they don't really threaten much, unless you're doing the threatening.
Right, right. But the ignorant have a way of making monsters out of things they don't understand.
Oh, I don't know. Several of the older folks I've talked to say that we're all monsters.
Oh, most people are.
Uh, People like the warm ones, or people like we are, or
The warm
just in
ones, the dead
general.
ones, the ones in
Yes.
between.
Yes.
Huh.
It's just up to us to decide uh, whether we are monsters or men, as it were. And that's a choice that happens nightly.
Huh. But usually the eyes don't do any harm. The one you really want to watch out for is their emissary. Um, the Banshee don't speak, you see. Uh, but the emissary, he usually shows up dressed all in blue, and he speaks.
If he is not one of the Banshee, what do you know what he is? They are?
Uh, he's the emissary, right? It's an emissary's job to speak for people.
Right. Okay. Well, hopefully we do not need to receive any threats from emissaries of any sort.
I hope so too. Mostly because I don't think either Roro or Da has a very high opinion of him. Anyway, let's go.
Of course.
And with that, we will conclude our session for the evening. Thank you all so much for coming out. I am going to go ahead and dismiss our bots.
Bye, bots. We love you.